decoration. This is a really relaxed kind of craft. I'm not going to spend too much time fretting over it or saying, oh, this doesn't look right, this doesn't look right. And I apologize if the camera is shaking. I have this strange setup. I'll get there one day. But I'm thinking I want a little tiny decoration for my wall. I'm gonna use this little piece of wood that I got from Michael's. It was, oh my gosh, 99 cents. And what's great about these is that really you could sand them down. I didn't sand mine, so that's another thing. It's a low-key craft. It's a relax and do what you may. But I think I might make this a little, if it turns out right, I'll make it a little gift. So what I'm using is basic craft paint and basic craft brushes. I don't want to use anything that is expensive on this because it's not a painting. I know that sounds kind of like, oh, your crafts aren't important. Like, they are important. It's just I'm not using my expensive golden paints on something. So today I'm gonna do clouds. Clouds are fun. You only need like, well, I think with clouds you need a lot of patience. And I like to paint wet on wet for clouds. Because if you think about it, there are these light little puffs of cotton in the sky. And when you have little puffs of cotton, you don't want anything too harsh or too loud. I mean, if you want that, you want some strong clouds, you do it. You know? I'm just gonna keep on working it. You know, this is a good craft for when you're bored, or you know, maybe you're like, I don't know what to do, and I struggle with some perfectionist thoughts. So this type of thing often loosens me up a little. Now, will it be like professional quality? No. Will it be Katina quality? Yeah. I think, you know what I always wanted to do? I always wanted to make paintings of clouds in all different shapes. Maybe have a series of paintings and they all line up and it creates one image through clouds. Maybe that's 290s. I don't know. I don't know. Now I'm just gonna start dabbing this paint. Okay. So one, I gotta find out the size and scale. Let's say the sun is over here. I think like the sun would be... What's great about the craft paint is you can mess up as much as you want. Because they're only $1.29 a bottle. I mean, I get the cheapest kind. And this stuff I've had laying around my house probably for years, and I haven't used it, so that's really cool that I get to use it now. There we go. So now I'm just gonna go in and make whatever shapes I want. It doesn't have to be anything perfect. But with painting, it's always important to know that it's done in layers, and whatever you're doing, there's always a certain amount of patience you have to have with painting, because it will never come easy if, you know, you're not naturally inclined to it. I'm not saying that I am naturally inclined. I have just seen some extremely talented artists in my time from Stockton, to be honest. There's this one girl who used to paint night scenes, and I can't remember her name. I don't even think I asked for her name because I'm so just so awkward sometimes. It's important to leave some dark spaces between these big white ridges. The reason why is because clouds, when you look at them in the sky, they're not just completely white. They have a lot of volume. They have a whole bunch of different colors sometimes. I mean, really, to me, they're see-through. I know they're not see-through, but from the ground here and in my dreams, they look like they could be fluffy clouds of the best cotton candy or fairy floss, wherever you're from. I think fairy floss is it's so much cuter than cotton candy. I get the concept behind cotton candy. I know this is like a random rant here, but just making commentary. Like fairy floss. I want to imagine like sneaking away, seeing a fairy somewhere, like, oh snap, like there's a fairy here. This is awesome. Wouldn't that be great? If only that was the case. So I think this back cloud I'm gonna make a little more wispy. Right? So I want the clouds to be moving in. And now you can kind of see the image forming. And I believe around here, the outer perimeter, I might make it a night scene with a moon phase, because I really enjoy differences, like, night and day kind of thing. And then you get the best of both worlds. So this is going to be a complete mess by the end of this quarantine. I'm going to use it as like a makeshift palette, this is not appropriate for a palette, folks. This is, I suppose, some kind of composite wood. I suggest, I'm taking a little break right now to let this dry a little bit so I can add in some highlights. But I highly suggest getting plexiglass. Plexiglass is just cheaper. It is like, it's not going to shatter on you. Glass feels the best. When I say it feels the best, it means when you're mixing paint on a surface and you're using a palette knife, which is a little spatula for paint palettes and paint or other things. Like if you're using oil paint, you definitely use, I would prefer to use a metal little painting mixing palette knife. And that's because oil paint is so thick. Oil paint is, I don't know, it just seems more difficult to clean up, to mix, to really get what you want from it. And if you're using a brush like this, see how I'm mixing it? And the paint line here is like moving up. Soon enough, it's going to move up to the point where it hits the glue of the hairs of the brush, and cleaning that is going to be annoying. The brushes aren't going to be the same because technically, to me, they're damaged, because once the paint gets to that glue within the fibers of the hair of the brush hairs. Wow, speaking today is a struggle. Sorry, y'all. But when that happens, the bristles will come apart, and then you're going to lose the point of any brush you're using. I'm using a round brush. I don't know if it says the size on here. Oh, size 6, Artist Loft. Like I said, I love to get the cheapest thing that I can get. Because I really do beat up brushes. It's sad. So I'm getting the blobby shapes in for the clouds. What is that? Is that a hair? It was a piece of dust. So I'm seeing that this area is drying. I'm gonna lightly and carefully I push down and I pull. I push down lightly, and I pull. Okay, so I'm gonna push and pull. Just where I want highlights. You can make little circular motions as well if your brush is dry enough. Like, dry brushing is phenomenal for clouds because you can make these little wispy details on the outline, and they will also reflect on the cloud itself. So if you make a mistake, don't worry. It's not really a mistake. You know, Bob Ross, he taught us the best, right? We're gonna keep moving along. Just keep adding. Don't fret. You know, this probably isn't going to come out the way I'd like, but this isn't really something that I'm selling for high dollar. This is something for my own little private house collection. I mean, if anyone likes it, I could give it away as a prize for like a trivia or something. I mean, I don't know if anyone's watching this, but if we did a trivia type video, would people respond? Would people do it? I guess it would have to be a live sort of video, right? Yeah, I would suppose that. It would have to be Facebook or something. Oop. But as you can see, what I'm doing now is I'm holding the phone so it doesn't move around while I'm getting the access paint off. So, access paint off. Alright. Now I'm gonna go for the just stark white with a little bit of that mix that had red in it. I use the red to add some interest to the composition. When you're using color theory, with painting, it's important to see colors and say, hey, what could make this color stand out more? And that's so important. Because you want this stuff to be visually interesting. If it's just gonna be blue and white, well, you know, if you like that, you like it. But if it's just gonna be blue and white, it might get a little boring, you know? I mean, unless you put a lot of details, then that kind of fixes it. Okay. So, gonna keep working on that. And now that it's dry a little over here, just make sure you don't have a lot on your brush, or you're gonna get like, you know, there's gonna be too much. And what I will do is I will post a picture of this on the Instagram. You know what? I've decided. I will post a picture of this on the Instagram. And if anyone is interested and they want this, then you tag us and you share it. And you let people know that public libraries are the best. That we want to be here for you, even though we can't be there for you. You know, I miss classes, I miss events at our library. It's weird not seeing everyone that I'm used to seeing. I think it's a little sad, you know, but we're all thinking of you from the Cape May County Library. And we're excited to one day soon, hopefully, open our doors and have people come in again and share our classes and talk to one another. Because community is so important for libraries. And being dedicated people to knowledge, we have so many resources. I mean, I'd love to continue to paint things like this and add to our little knowledge base for people, but I don't know. We'll see. So I really like how this is coming along. I think the clouds look really fluffy. I'm pleased. Clouds Should be fluffy. But I will let this dry a little again. Maybe. Unless I want to keep dabbling paint on. Now you can lay this paint on pretty thick. I just want to say. Just the most important thing about paint is that you have texture. Whether you make that in smooth lines with different variations of line, thicknesses of line. So for example, a texture can be made. Wow, this is a poor example, y'all. But I'm making texture right now. It's not lines, it's blobs, and that's okay. Now, I noticed one thing about this painting is that I cannot see the differences between the two clouds. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a smaller brush. Okay, Artist Loft says this is a brush size 2. So I'm gonna go in with dark blue, put it over here, mix it with some white. I don't want it to be too much darker than the background itself, but I need it dark enough so it can show a difference. And to separate it more, since the cloud is in white, I will create a color difference by adding some red in with it to warm it up. Now, I will make a dry brush effort and go in and see how much of a difference that makes. And I'm just gonna lightly go through it. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want it to look as interesting, as visually interesting as possible. So, yeah, I like that. It's gonna define the clouds away from one another. And if you see like, wow, I don't really like how that looks, blend it. I don't know if anyone wears makeup watching this, but if you do, or you're going out to a fancy occasion, you want to wear some makeup, you're gonna try to blend some eyeshadow and go that way. I'm focusing right now and just really trying to make it understandable that these are clouds. I'm trying to hold this camera steady and mix paint. Really just need a work area for this. I want these highlights to really pop. Now when you're making circles like this, when you're blending, know your topic. So I have these tiny little clouds here, tiny big clouds, and I know that if I use big circles, it's gonna create a dark spot like that. I don't really want a dark spot like that. I want little punches of shadow. And this will improve. It's just gonna take a little bit of time. But that's okay. We've got plenty of time right now. Everyone does. I just hope everyone is keeping positive and keeping occupied. You know, life is long, life is short, but your life is your own. And let's make the best of it, you know? A little positivity there. What I love is to experiment with paint. There's something so pleasing about blending and seeing how it all reacts to one another. Honestly, I could make this a night scene. I could make the moon glow like a pearlescent color, because they have pearlescent metallic colors as well for sale. and those are super fun. They're not the best quality, I will tell you that right now. However, it's worth it for a little bit of shininess. I am an appreciator of shiny, so let's just keep working it here. Remember, it's your dream here. It's not reality. You shouldn't think of it as something harsh, and you have to be perfect with it. I'm trying to let go of these perfectionist tendencies and loosen up. That's what I'm trying. And to make really big highlights, you want to go on with a thick blob. And just remember, clouds are wispy things. Wispy. I just think people could probably work on clouds forever. Is there any end to clouds? I don't think so. I got bored of this cloud. I think I was just muddying it up too much. If you ever think like, oh, I think this is getting overworked, leave it. Just leave it. Don't touch it. Take my advice from someone who is had, let's just call them, I don't know what to call them, but I destroyed paintings because I didn't like how they looked. And let's say that painting took me 5 hours. But then there was something I really did not appreciate about it, or I saw that was a mistake and I didn't understand at the time because I had gotten so frustrated that these mistakes are easy to fix because you can literally paint over them. Ooh, harsh words to myself there. But it's true. They can be painted over. So just keep that in mind. And we're just gonna keep going here. It's fun making clouds. You know, I don't understand how April could be so cold. You know, it's almost May. How long is this cold gonna last? I'd love to get out there and see some clouds. And, well, I mean, I can, and I do. I go for walks, but, you know. There we go. Look at those highlights come in. Oh, yeah. They look great. Man, this back cloud is rocking my world right now. I just wish I had a brighter white. I know that sounds ridiculous. But now in retrospect, I look at it and I'm like, wow, I should have started with the dark colors like I was taught. Lesson learned. Anywho. So. Because if you start out with a darker color, you don't have to do this ridiculous mess here that I'm doing, which is adding chunkier highlights. If you are interested in owning this piece, it is free. I would never charge for something like this. It's more of a gift, a thinking of you gift. And if you post a comment as to why the library is so great and what you miss about it, and if it gets a lot of likes, then maybe we can talk about it. See what I can do. When the library opens up again, we can put this on the hold shelf for you if you have a library card. And you can pick it up whenever you can. So I think that's a good plan. So I think, I don't know why, but I just feel like I'm missing some red. It just feels right. You gotta go with your feelings. on this. You know? It's all about feelings when it comes to painting your emotions. What's really fun is doing experimental art. Experimental art is like really involved, really active. For example, if someone thought of an idea, it's not spray painting, but like, say I have 3 things of spray paint and I want to make it more interactive. I could see what spray paint will do if maybe I use clay, like a Sculpey clay on the surface, and then spray paint over it and pull it all away or scrape it away, get a texture in the background, and go from there. What I'm gonna do, like I said, paint over it. I'm gonna paint over it a little. I'm gonna add more darks. Sometimes you gotta be bold. You can't always be scared of making a mistake. So don't worry. You'll be okay. If I can make it, you can make it, I swear. Alright. Now, I'm lazily painting right now. If I were to really want to paint, I would have an easel. I would also I would, wow, not put such a big glob of white on there, but I did. It's going there. It's okay. It's not a mistake, people. I kind of want this darkness over here, but I will breach onto it a little with some white wisps. That's what I imagine a little wisp noise sounding like. Anyone know about the mythology behind wisps? It's like Scottish or something, right? I only know it from Brave. Hate me now, hate me later, your choice. But, yeah. I did a painting once, a mural, of Adam and God's hand. You know, the fingers. I didn't do like the whole thing. I had a partner in it. It was a rather big mural, and that was the first experience I really had with clouds, with making them look like clouds. And I was very proud to know that clouds were one of these things that, you didn't have to think about too much. You didn't have to dread or try to make extra perfect. You didn't have to do that. And these are the types of things that make painting relaxing, I mean, I feel like sometimes I overcomplicate really simple, beautiful things. But I think that's a common problem. I'll let that dry a little bit. And I really think I'm gonna make this a night scene. I want to make that a moon. But what I'm gonna do, instead of just having plain white, I have this, I'll cover that, but it's just a cheap thing. Yellow. Oops. I'm going to take a little bit, mix that in. Like, I know everyone thinks like, oh, the moon is cheese. I don't know if anyone thinks that anymore. I think everyone's like, yeah, the moon is the moon. I don't know. But I like it to be have a little yellow in there, a little blue in there. but a lot more white than anything. I like, I think this is a thing, like, in China, they say that the moon has a rabbit in it, and I think that's a amazing and precious thing. I adore that. I don't know about the night thing. Okay, this is a problem I have, is that I constantly change my plans. So what I'm gonna do is stick with the day and add some yellow highlights. I just want to say, when you're looking at the sun in the day, it's not really yellow, you know? Like, there's some yellow to it, but it's not yellow. I will add some yellow. But even with this, I'm gonna kind of layer it a little bit, and I'm gonna add some little yellow highlights just to bring things together. They always say, like, there's the silver lining, you know, but when I look in the sky sometimes and I'm walking at the bay, you know, I see like gold and pink and all those beautiful colors in the clouds. I think that's such a great gift that nature gives us. It's the ability to see those pretty clouds and all those pretty colors at sunset. The important thing is to keep going. Don't get discouraged. Do not get discouraged. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But I can guarantee that someone else will. What I might actually do, which is a smart idea, a non-struggle bus idea. Let me just try to hold this steady while I mix. I'm gonna make the sky a little lighter. Like I said, painting is great and you can go over everything that you don't like. Yeah, that looks so much better.